We live in a world that's full of arguments. Bad ones, good ones, outlandish ones, unnecessary ones, and some necessary ones. For some people, it can feel like too much. For others, arguing is thrilling. It's kind of a sport, and at its best, it's a way to understand and connect with other people. Our episode today is with a master of that sort of sparring, Kareem Rahma. I'm sure a lot of you have seen him before. If you ever scroll through TikTok or Instagram or really any social media, you've probably encountered a clip of Kareem interviewing someone on the subway. He's the host of Subway Takes, a web series where he invites people, sometimes famous and sometimes not, to offer up some kind of strong opinion. And his response is usually 100% agree or 100% disagree.
So what's your take?
We need to abolish Wi-Fi on airplanes.
100% disagree, bro.
I knew you were going to say that.
So what's your take?
Every straight guy should try butt stuff twice.
100% agree. I think it should be more than twice, though. So what's your take?
Disney World is for adults, too.
Oh, 100% disagree.
And I knew you would.
Disney World is for children.
Oh, do children have $10,000 to go? I don't think they do. You could spend your time on the subway. I'm spending my time on Space Mountain. Woo!
I love watching Kareem's videos. They're fun. And they feel like a push to be less timid with our passionate, low-stakes opinions, while also suggesting that each of us might have it all wrong. He's up for surprise, too. When Kareem isn't interviewing people on the subway, he's hailing a cab for his other show, Keep the Meter Running, where he hops into a New York City taxicab and asks the driver to take him to their favorite place.
Taxi, how are you doing?
Hey, I am good.
Take me to your favorite place and keep the meter running.
20 is Napoli, Upper East Side is 63rd Street and 3rd Avenue.
What's your name?
Liton.
Liton.
Yep.
My name's Kareem. Oh, man, I didn't expect you were going to say Italian.
You know, I work over there.
Oh, you worked at Tony's?
Yeah.
And we're going back? As customers?
Much like Liton, Kareem has done a lot of things for money over the years. When he was young and growing up in an immigrant family in Minnesota, he worked at McDonald's. He also worked as a telemarketer and a busboy. And later, after he moved to New York, he got big jobs at Vice and the New York Times. But he didn't really like sitting at a desk all day, so he quit and in his early 30s pursued comedy. He's also written a book of poetry and starred in a feature film that he wrote. It's all a lot. There is a restlessness to Kareem, along with an appetite to connect and take some risks. But as you'll hear, there's also a practical side to it all. He's got this straightforward financial know-how and tolerance for a wild amount of industriousness. He's posting almost every day, making sure his audience is growing and that all his efforts are paying off.
I have been working since I was 14 years old, and I haven't taken a break.
This is Death, Sex, and Money. The show from Slate about the things we think about a lot and need to talk about more. I'm Anna Sale. This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states. This episode is brought to you by Discover. If you've listened to Death, Sex, and Money for a while, you know how important acceptance is when it comes to personal growth. And you know who else is big on acceptance? Discover. You see, Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. That's a whole lot of places and a whole lot of acceptance, which is great for Discover, but even better for you. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/creditcard. What Kareem Rahma is doing with Subway Takes and the new longer podcast, Subway Takes Uncut, is trying to capture a spontaneous and fun interaction between people in public. That spirit is on full display in his interview on the podcast with the actor John C. Reilly. Kareem gets thrown off when John starts talking about his new live show called Mr. Romantic.
It's been going great, and I sing all these really romantic songs.
Oh, you sing?
Oh, yeah.
How long have you been singing?
Well, if you saw Chicago the Musical...
I didn't. I didn't.
Well, Oscar thought I was a pretty good singer. I was nominated for an Oscar for that movie.
Oh, Mr. Oscar.
For Kareem, this kind of awkward moment is part of the fun.
I go into my interviews being underprepared intentionally because I do like the spontaneity of kind of learning new things about someone. I also am not too hard on myself in understanding that people have different reference points. And I never grew up with musicals. I've never seen Chicago. So I think having that surprise element is natural and good in terms of the content. But yeah, for myself, I was like, oh man, I should have really known that.
I want to be able to picture your household growing up and what it sounded like. Like, was there a lot of banter, chatter, debate in your family?
There was a lot of debate between myself and my father, Shirley. We had a very... I would say like an adult relationship at a very early age. Like he treated me like a man when I was like 11. And so a lot of the conversation was based on like, there was a lot of negotiating in our household on my end and on his end. And I think the rest of my family were spectators between the battle of the two people who thought that they were the smartest people in the family. So it was really between me and my dad. Like I had a really loving relationship with my mother and a really loving relationship with my sister and my brother. But with my dad, it was literally an episode of a podcast where two people didn't necessarily like each other, but enjoyed fanning the flames of intellectual discussion.
Sparring.
So
yeah.
And I still find that like my favorite night out will be four people at a dinner table at a 4-hour dinner. Having debates. Like that is my favorite kind of setting. But in the family, it was like a quiet household with the exception of these great debates that were pretty consistent.
And so when you're 11 and debating with your dad, negotiating with your dad, what were you all trying to work out? What were some of the things that you argued over?
A lot of it was just, maybe during the 11 period, it was more like, I want a dog, and here are the reasons why, and here's a presentation about why a dog will make our family a better family. I really want a Nintendo 64. Here are the reasons that I think that this house needs a Nintendo 64. They were very much so basic kind of childish needs, and my dad was like, you're not a kid anymore. You don't need a Nintendo 64. And I'm like, well, I am a kid. And here are the facts supporting that. And then as I grew up, those debates and negotiations came more around the freedom to operate and to make decisions on my own, such as I want to get a job, I want a car, I want to be able to stay out till midnight, I want to have a sleepover, I want to go to this party. So it became more of a social thing. And that continued pretty much until I was accepted to college, where we had made a deal maybe when I was a freshman in high school that once I was accepted to college that I could do whatever I want. So that's when the debating pretty much ended. And I will say, he stuck to his word.
He honored it.
He was a betting man. And I think the reason that he did that was to push me, because he knew that was the last bargaining chip, and I took him up on the offer.
So you're describing this like origin battle of like fighting with authority about your right to be playful, which seems like kind of a through line of your work. Like you are comfortable kind of engaging with whether it's big media institutions or big tech companies and figuring out how to get to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, fun is literally a priority. It is the number one thing on my list when it comes to choosing a job or a project or something that I want to work on. When I go through the exercise of, should I say yes or should I say no? Fun, number one, is fun.
What was your father's name?
Sayed.
Syed. Would you say when you were a teenager, did you get along?
No.
No.
No. No, it wasn't like a bad relationship. Like, he was a good dad and I loved him and he loved me, but we were adversarial, and it's because he was really controlling and like loved me too much as the eldest son, and he also just wanted me to succeed. And I also think that there were cultural differences. Being the son of immigrants, I grew up a more Americanized version of what they probably intended. And so there was always this tension of like, we want you to be Egyptian, but we also want you to be American. And I think at a young age, my goal and desire was to fit in. So I didn't really want anything to do with the Egyptian side of me because I already knew that was like very obvious and physically there. So for me, it was more about like, how do I blend in? And to blend in, I would need to be American.
And so you're growing up in Minnesota in the 80s and 90s. Like, what was cool? Like, what was the scene that you wanted to fit in your school? I mean,
it's quite funny because I didn't really get a sense of my taste until I became an adult. Because a lot of what I was doing, like I said, was trying to fit in. I was trying to be a chameleon, and to be not the center of attention, but accepted into the centers of attention. So I didn't want to say anything weird or do anything weird. So I kind of was like, I wouldn't say I was a follower, but I certainly wasn't following my dreams and my desires. I had an interest in comedy at an early age and filmmaking at an early age, but in Minnesota, that's not really wasn't a cool thing, at least in the 80s and 90s and even 2000s. It didn't feel like that was a cool thing because like sports were the cool thing. So I just focused on working. Like, honestly, like from the age of 12, I started thinking about how I was going to make money. It wasn't until, honestly, I was like 28 that I started to like really have an opinion and a taste. And I think, to fast forward a little bit, that is why my output has been insane. It's because I'm almost like getting all of the things out of my body that have been in there for a long time. So there's a lot of material to draw on that hasn't been used.
Yeah, but all the while you're trying to figure out how to fit in, you're polishing your ability to charm, to figure out how to adapt to your audience. So it's like this great coming together of these things that you've been, this pent up taste, and then this talent for giving the people what they want.
For sure.
Okay, so you're working, and when you were working as a teenager, is this for your own money? Are you putting money in a savings account, or are you putting money into the family budget?
No, I'm putting money into myself.
Okay.
Clothes that I wanted. I think there was an optionality, and there were clothes available to me, and there were shoes available to me, but it wasn't what I wanted. And so in order to maintain my level of social mobility inside of a high school or middle school, I was really providing for myself, but not out of need. It was more providing for myself out of want.
And you go to school when your father died towards the end of your college years, is that right?
Yeah, when I was 21.
Was it the result of an illness?
Cancer.
Was he sick for some time?
6 months.
Oh, that's fast.
Pretty quick.
So you're the oldest son, you're 21. What was that like for you? How did you understand what you needed to do to finish college and start your own young adulthood, your career, and what your family needed from you? How did you think about that?
I mean, I think looking back at it, I think I had made the deal. I had made the deal that I'll get into college, which presumably means I will also graduate from it. So I just kept going. And I remember my dad told me, just keep going. That was like a thing that he had told me many times. Because, you know, I think in our relationship, there was never a moment where he was like, that's great, good job. It was always like, that's great, keep going. You know, it was always like, one up yourself, or don't stop. And so that's what I did. Like, that's how I coped, is by, you know, I took more credits than ever. Like I think that last semester, that last year, I remember like piling up the credits to be like, I want to finish this, because if I don't finish it, or if I take a pause, if I take a semester off to grieve, there's a chance that I won't come back. So I just threw myself into the schoolwork. You know, I wasn't a good student. So maybe I didn't throw myself into the schoolwork per se, but I threw myself into the experience of school in order to finish. Like that's what I did. And I just didn't stop, honestly. That's like, for me, it was like all about motion and momentum and moving forward. And that's it. I didn't want to let anything slow me down. I didn't let anything slow me down. It was obviously sad and difficult, but like, I remember I went home for like a weekend. Like, I went home for the funeral, slept at my parents' house for one night, and then on Monday I was back at school. And that's it. Keep going.
Coming up, Kareem continues working, but eventually has a crisis about what kind of work he should be doing.
I was dreading, like, I had a moment where I thought about like my existence, and that I would, you know, be sending emails for a living until I was 80.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry if you email for a living, but I still email for a living, but I'm also doing other things.
Making time for other things, yeah.
Yeah.
There is always something going on in my household, and when schedules are in full swing, there's not a lot of time to go grocery shopping. And that's why you can trust Hungry Root. It is one thing I just don't have to think about as the week starts. I know my Hungry Root box is going to show up, and it's going to have some snacks that people can grab when they're hungry, and also a few weeknight dinner kits. So I know I'm not going to look up at 5 p.m. one day and realize, oh my gosh, what are we going to eat for dinner? With Hungry Root, it's there. We eat more healthily, and we save money on takeout. Hungry Root takes care of the weekly grocery shopping and recommends healthy groceries tailored to my taste and nutrition preference. They make it easy to eat high-quality, nutritious food and achieve any diet or health goals you have for your family. And they have great options for the whole family, like top-quality meat and seafood smoothies, kid snacks, ready-to-eat meals, salad kits, and even supplements. You're going to love Hungry Root. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. Get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/DSM and use code DSM. That's hungryroot.com/DSM, code DSM, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/DSM, code DSM. If you are a parent, you know there isn't time to research every single product you use in your home. Luckily, there's Blueland. Blueland is certified safe and clean by the EPA, and their products contain clean ingredients that are safe for the whole family. I really appreciate when I reach for the clear bottle of multi-purpose cleaner from Blueland. All of a sudden, when there's a mess, I can get it all cleaned up and move on. It is safe and effective. And I don't get that creeping yuck feeling when I run down to the bottom of the cleaner bottle. Like that feeling of, what am I going to do with this big plastic bottle? And I just think about trying to recycle it, and then maybe it still ends up in a landfill. And I just put another cleaning tablet in the Blueland bottle. I add water, and I'm good to go. I don't have to get rid of that plastic bottle. Blue Land is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet with the same powerful clean you're used to. The idea is simple. They offer refillable cleaning products with a beautiful, cohesive design that looks great on your counter. Celebrate Earth Month and make the switch today. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/DSM. You don't want to miss this. blueland.com/DSM for 15% off. That's blueland.com/DSM to get 15% off. Do you say data plan or data plan? Either way, paying a fortune for one felt normal until Mint Mobile came around with premium wireless plans that start at just $15 a month. Even Slate's president, Charlie Kammerer, is using Mint Mobile, and he says more people should be trying this out. He said it was really easy to switch providers. The SIM card was shipped to his home. He could keep his existing phone, and he didn't have to change his phone number. He's on the $15 a month plan and is getting unlimited talk and text over their 5G network at literally a fraction of what he was paying with someone else. All Mint Mobile plans come with high-speed data, or data, your choice, and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your phone, bring your number, and all your contacts. So say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, bills, and overages, because Mint Mobile is here. No matter how you say it, don't overpay for it. Shop data plans at mintmobile.com/DSM. That's mintmobile.com/DSM. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5-gigabyte plan required. That's equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. This is Death, Sex, and Money from Slate. I'm Anna Sale. Kareem Rahma has always been really deliberate about what he does with his money, how he's earning it, how he's saving it. But he's also very open to hearing other people's financial opinions.
So what's your take?
I think if you pay rent, you should own a little bit of that property.
100% agree. So what's your take?
There is no bigger red flag than a bad tipper.
100% agree. So what's your take?
I think that if you have a big birthday dinner, you should have to pay for it.
100% agree.
Yes.
Bro, you invite me. You come to me on the day of your birthday and you ask me to pay for the check. I'm not paying. So what's your take?
Being broke is a mindset. If more people didn't think that they were broke, they wouldn't be.
100% agree. I've been rich and poor and rich at the same time.
You'll notice Kareem 100% agreed with all those takes, even that really optimistic last one. I think it's because Kareem's relationship to money has always been more active than passive. After high school, he did some pretty interesting financial maneuvering to make sure he wouldn't end up with too much debt.
I worked through college and I was paying my own tuition and paying for my own everything. And I had a couple of like little ideas that didn't necessarily flourish, but they did allow me to have my own financial aid. You're probably like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I'll just tell you, like, I had a couple of harebrained schemes that worked really well. Is like one of them. So, one of them, I remember realizing that people sold their motorcycles in the fall so that they could buy snowmobiles for the winter. And so I had this great idea to call Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and say I need $7,000 for tuition, or $4,000 or $5,000. The number is blurry, but it was in the thousands. And then I took that money and I bought motorcycles in the fall for like $1,000 each or $2,000 each. And then I put those motorcycles in my parents' garage. And then when spring came around, I listed those same motorcycles for double what I bought them for. And they flew off the shelves, man. They flew off the damn shelves.
As snowmobile season moved back to motorcycle season. You're
exactly.
like, I've got
and
you.
then $7,000 becomes $14,000. I pay the loan back off. And then I have $7,000, which in college is a pretty good amount of money.
Yeah.
That's like a semester.
That's how you created your own financial aid. Now I'm
Exactly.
following. And I feel like you grew up in a household where there wasn't extra money. Money was tight.
Yeah.
And was there ever a part of your personality that responded to that with risk aversion around money, or were you like, how do I take the money I have and make more money?
It was like I'm very strategic to this day about money. I've never been one to buy depreciating assets even at a young age. Like, I'm serious. I wouldn't buy the new book. Like, why would I buy the new book when I could buy the old book or the used book?
Uh-huh.
And I always also paid my bills first and paid my bills on time. And that's stuck with me to this day. Like, I'm living a reasonable life.
Uh-huh.
And I did know when to take risks and when not to take risks. And let me tell you, there were a couple of times where I lost money. Like, I remember this, at one point I bought a bunch of jeans from, I think it was eBay. Or no, they were from Regstock, which is a thrift store. And there was like a very specific brand of jeans that women were wearing at the time. And I think me and my friend Justin, who was also my friends in college, we all had the same kind of like upbringing where we all came from enough, but not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough for us. We all wanted more. And so my roommates were all kind of involved in these little hustles. And I remember me and my friend Justin, I think we each put in like $400 and we bought like probably 30 or 40 pairs of these jeans. And we didn't know anything about like girls or really what they were wearing. We just knew that these jeans were definitely what girls were wearing at the time. But it turned out that they were all really, really small. Like the waist was like they may have been defective. Like the waist was like a size like -4. So we had like literally piles of these jeans in our house, and eventually we were just giving them away because we were just like, get these things out of the house. But that was I remember that was one that didn't work out for us.
A failure and not knowing your audience right there.
Not knowing that. And I think that was an early, I think I was going to say that they were kind of we were all in cahoots. And we all kind of taught each other, or we all validated our ideas.
Yeah.
We weren't doing anything illegal, I'll say that. Like, we weren't like, oh, let's sell weed. Because it was too risky.
Yeah.
So we stuck with motorcycles, jeans, at one point, iPhones. There was a whole bunch of different things that we were buying and selling back then.
Eventually, Kareem decided that he needed to make some inroads into the regular workforce. So he worked for the student newspaper, selling spots for print ads. Then he got an internship at an ad agency where he worked on search engine optimization, learning how to make sure people click on what you're making. And once he felt like he had a good amount of work experience, he decided to take a big leap and leave Minnesota for New York City.
Honestly, when I left, I thought I was going to be gone for a year. Like, that's how much I loved the Twin Cities. But then I got here, and day one, it was very apparent that I was probably not going to come back in a year.
What was it that you noticed that was like, I got to stick around here?
I mean, it was, number one, it was fun, literally. Like it was so fun. I was like, holy shit, like you can be 75 years old here and still have a great time, and the old people that I'd seen back home, old people were old. Here, everyone was young, every single person. And then like I got a job at Vice. I was really lucky. 25 years old. My first job in New York is a job at Vice, which is one of the fastest growing media companies in the world. I'm working with...
At the time,
Yeah, at the time. R.I.P. Vice. But, I had to adjust to a new kind of social hierarchy that existed in New York that did not exist in Minnesota, which was more of a cultural hierarchy. Where, like, truly knowing what was hip and what wasn't hip is what made you cool.
Not just
versus,
like looking at mass culture and making sure you had the cool sneakers that the popular kids in high school had.
Exactly.
So, how did you approach that project? of like figuring out how to climb up the next social hierarchy of coolness?
Well, for the first month, I didn't talk. Like the first month I worked at Vice, I literally didn't talk. I didn't speak unless I was spoken to. I'm not kidding. Like you can ask a lot of people who are now my friends. They were like, you just didn't talk. And then some people, you know, like the New Yorkers, like that were born and raised here, they found me really endearing and like a breath of fresh air, like, you know, a little Midwestern guy. And, you know, I just approached everyone cautiously. And there were a couple of moments where I felt really like offended or insulted, but also I had a really good sense of humor. And so, you know, it took a couple months, but people, you know, learned not to judge a book by its cover and learned that I was like a harmless, like I pretty much was cool because I was just myself. Like, and that was the first time that kind of started happening where I was just, and yeah, I think that is why I was just like, oh, this place is amazing. Like I am a loser per se, but I'm also cool because I'm a loser. And, you know, like, it was funny and it was new.
I I love that the pathway to self-acceptance was realizing that you could embrace the brand of being kind of a loser.
Yeah. I was still an ambitious loser, but at least I was just who I am. Like I wasn't trying to be anyone else. If there was an opinion in the office that something was cool and I didn't agree with that something, I would be like, I don't think that's cool. And then people were like, well, you're literally a loser, but we find it very endearing that you think that this is uncool.
Can you remember
it is cool.
Something you took a hard position on that was
Chief
very
Keef.
popular at the time? Okay.
Chief Keef, the rapper. Everyone was like, oh, this guy's incredible. And I was like, this guy sucks.
Baby girl, these diamonds on her phone. They not phony, huh? This car I got it came from Barcelona. These shoes I got came from fucking Paris.
And now I do love Chief Keef, but I was like, I like rap music that has meaning, and this guy's just, you know, he's just mumbling and talking about stupid shit. And then they were like, you're such a loser. Like he's a punk rocker. Like he's awesome. And it was one of those situations where, you know, I took that defense and my mind didn't change, but eventually I came to it.
And okay, so I mean, I can hear the origins of Subway Takes right there. So I want to kind of understand your work, your period of work. You go to Vice, you're at the New York Times, you're starting a media company. You are making savvy moves in digital media in the 2010s. When you got to when it's like 2019, 2020, 2021, and you thought about all that you'd built in your New York career, what felt good about it and what felt lacking?
You know, I felt like I had come to New York with a mission to make it. And I felt like I had done a decent job. Like I hadn't been kicked out yet, but I still felt like nothing had really panned out for me. Like I still wasn't rich. I still, you know, like that was a big thing is like, I thought I was going to get rich really fast and I definitely did not get rich at all. And that's like, it was always just out of grasp. Like my ideas were just good enough to like, exist, but not good enough to like catapult me into wealth and fame, or like on the cover of Forbes. And at that time,
that's quite a leap from like the next level to the cover of Forbes.
At that time, I was like pursuing entrepreneurship in a way that like it felt like, oh, I'm gonna be like not actually the next Mark Zuckerberg, but I was like, I'm gonna be up there with the greats. Like I'm gonna create something that's really substantial and that like will make me known as an amazing entrepreneur. And I was not a natural businessman per se. Like I had a lot of really good ideas, but in terms of like running a business, being an operator, I was severely lacking and severely uninterested in that. So there was a moment where it was like 2020, maybe 2019, I would say 2019, where I was like, you know, I think I'm going to do something that I've always wanted to do, which is try comedy. Let me try this thing that's been deeply buried in me that I know has always existed, but has been too shy and afraid, but not like from stage fright. It was just like, this is not going to make me money. Like this is a career path that is not a career. This is for kids. My dad's voice is in my head. But I also approached it in the same way that I approached everything else, which is day one, I'm going 100 miles per hour and I am not going to stop. And I was conscious of the fact that I was 33 years old and starting a new career, and telling anyone in my life that I'm an aspiring comedian, whether they're a stranger or someone I loved, is the most embarrassing thing in the entire world. I'm a 33-year-old aspiring comedian.
Did
that
you do
is
it?
a joke.
Did you use that language? No.
No, I removed aspiring.
I am.
On day one, I am a comedian. That is how I introduced myself.
This conversation with Kareem got me really into my head, particularly about the way he talked about money. Why did I never think about making money by flipping motorcycles and selling jeans? I've always been more of a money rule follower. I do what the personal finance blogs tell me to do, and there's not a lot of flashy new ideas there. But we're in this moment in the American economy where what has been the conventional wisdom might not apply because of the way global trade is being upended and all the changes that are cascading from that. Many of you have been sending us in-person love stories over the last few weeks. Thank you. We are going through those. But now I want to hear from you if you are someone trying to figure out some big money decision right now. Or maybe how your identity around money is changing right now as the world financial system changes. Let us know if you are struggling with a decision where you could use some advice about money, and we'll see if we can find the right people to talk to about it. Send us your big money questions right now and the story behind what you're struggling with to deathsexmoney@slate.com. Record a voice memo if you can, or you can just send us an email. Again, that's deathsexmoney@slate.com. One other financial thing that's changing right now in America are the rules and systems around student loans. During the Biden administration, we heard a lot about loan forgiveness. And now the Trump administration seems to be undecided on which government agency should even be in charge of student loans. In our Slate Plus drop this week, I asked someone to help me make sense of things. The writer Jillian Berman has a new book out called Sunk Cost: Who's to Blame for the Nation's Broken Student Loan System and How to Fix It. The book is about the history of student loans, including a big misconception about which people they were originally designed to help.
Really, the loans were sort of meant to be liquidity for middle and upper middle class families who couldn't pay, whatever the cost was a year out of pocket. And so, we'll give them this tool to use. And for low-income students, we really want them to be able to rely more on grants. That was kind of the original premise, but it's really gotten out of control and kind of everyone relies on student loans now.
You can listen to my conversation with Jillian by becoming a Slate Plus member if you're not already. We would love to welcome you into the fold. You not only get bonus drops like this, you also get ad-free listening to Death, Sex, and Money and all the podcasts that Slate makes. Since we're on the topic of money, I will just say that the economics of podcasting have changed in recent years, and these Slate Plus memberships, it's how we pay for what we do. So if you have not already, please sign up today. Join with your fellow listeners as Slate Plus members. You can do it on the Death, Sex, and Money show page, on Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify, or just go to slate.com/DSM Plus. And if you are already a Slate Plus member, thank you so much for your support. This episode is brought to you by Saks Fifth Avenue. Shopping at Saks is the easiest way to discover the best new styles to elevate your everyday look, especially when you're short on time. At Saks, you'll find inspiration for every occasion, from casual outfits to special events. Here's a true story. Just the other day, I realized that I don't really have a pair of quick slip-on sneakers that I feel cool in. And I actually searched on my laptop, cool mom sneakers. And that was not a very fruitful internet search. And then I went to Saks.com and I just searched under shoes and then sneakers. And I could get a good look at what's on trend, what is classic. I could think about what is the right sneaker for me in 2025. It was like having a current lookbook to help me figure out my particular cool mom sneaker identity. The thing that I can just put on with jeans and make work for errands around the neighborhood, or wear for a cool casual look at my next work event. I'm still mulling my exact pair, but while I was there at Saks.com, I hopped over to the accessories vertical and checked out a pair of Elisa Johnson sunglasses that are also very cool. Whether you're refreshing your entire wardrobe or shopping for a vacation or just trying to find some everyday sneakers, Saks makes it fun and easy. If you are looking for a fun, effortless shopping experience and want to elevate your personal style, head to Saks. That's Saks.com for everyday inspiration. This episode is brought to you by Understood.org. The diagnosis of ADHD in women skyrocketed during the pandemic. Now, one health and science journalist is asking, why women? Why now? And how has underdiagnosis impacted women's mental health? Introducing Climbing the Walls, a 6-part podcast series hosted by Danielle Elliott. Climbing the Walls investigates why women with ADHD have gone undiagnosed for so long and how that changed dramatically during the pandemic. Tune in to hear insights from mental health experts and candid conversations with women living with ADHD, including from women who have been writing and thinking about ADHD in adult women since the mid-90s. I learned in the first episodes of the series that though it seems like this recent surge of diagnoses is based on some kind of new scientific understanding, it's not actually true. It has been decades that people have been looking at the science of ADHD in adults, particularly women. What is changing is the conversation about stigma and shame. And this series also investigates how ADHD rubs up against our expectations of how women ought to behave and what they ought to be able to do. Join Danielle Elliott as she sheds light on the surge in ADHD diagnoses among women and shares her own deeply personal story. To listen to Climbing the Walls, search for Climbing the Walls in your podcast app. That's Climbing the Walls. Kareem Rahma also makes music with the band Kareem Rahma and Tiny Gun. It's rock music, like punk infused. And just like in the rest of his work, in the lyrics, he calls it like he sees it. Like with this song, Really Rich Parents. Kareem does not have really rich parents, so becoming a comedian was yet another grind.
I was doing improv at Upright Citizens Brigade. I did all the classes for improv. I did all the classes for sketch. I did stand-up classes. I started performing on stage. I started producing digital sketches online and making YouTube videos and doing this and doing that. I just did all of it at the same time, literally. I just went like from 0 to 100 immediately.
Did you quit wage-earning work that wasn't comedy work when you made this pivot?
I kept enough work to pay for my life.
What was the work you were doing?
So I was consulting for media companies because that's what I knew how to do. And so I had a couple of clients that were on retainer. So I was actually sat on money, which was great. And I was really proud that I became my own rich parent. Like I became my own Nepo baby. And I couldn't have done that unless I was old enough to like have these relationships, have these clients, be able to do this stuff. And so I was like bankrolling my own career. I was a Nepo baby, but I was the Nepo and the baby.
She's a nepotism baby, and she's driving me crazy. Spending all summer in Rome and St. Tropez.
I really like the song Really Rich Parents. I think it's fantastic. It's a wonderful anthem.
Thank you.
It's got a dancey beat while also being rockin' hard. It's what I like about it is it says true things, but without that edge of resentment, which I find, when you looked around at the other people who were starting comedy careers who didn't have to have the consulting gigs and had real rich parents to be their rich parents, were you ever kind of was it hard to be around those people?
I never resented anyone for having rich parents. Of course, I think it is both funny and also unfair. It is an unfair advantage, but people have different unfair advantages. You know what I mean? You can be rich and ugly, and that sucks. You can be rich and have an awful personality. You can be rich and be socially awkward. Everyone has an advantage. And so to be well, this person was born into wealth, I'm yeah, but that doesn't mean anything, really. I mean, it means that they have time. That's really what it was. It means that they have time. And I had given myself enough time to be able to make time for this thing.
Yeah.
When I started, I made a mental note where I was okay, I'm 33. Most of these people are 23 or younger. And their advantage is that they have time. My advantage is that I've had time. And I'm going to use my advantage by knowing that this is going to take a long time, but I'm going to do so much work in such a limited amount of time that I'm going to be at the same place that they're at, but in half the time that it's going to take them.
Yes.
Because I have all that. You know what I mean? I just knew that I wanted to put 10 years of work into 5 years. And a lot of my friends were this is crazy. What are you doing? This is insane. There's so much stuff. And I was well, that's how you get good.
Yeah. And you've talked about you self-identify as someone with ADHD, right? How long have you thought of yourself as someone with ADHD?
I think I'm diagnosed now, but I think I've been undiagnosed my whole life.
And when were you diagnosed?
As an adult, but I think it's been a while. It's probably since I was 30.
Okay. So
it's been 8 years.
Do you medicate your ADHD?
No.
Do you have any?
I did for a little bit.
Do you feel like you are in relationship with it where you're trying to harness it to your advantage?
I think that it was really difficult to focus on one thing at a time, which is what most jobs require you to do. And I keep myself so busy, and every day is a puzzle of different work. You know what I mean? There's so many projects. There's literally so many projects. My managers are how? And I'm I don't know. I just know how to do it. And so I have a really high tolerance for what other people would consider stressful, because my brain is designed to jump from thing to thing. We've been on this podcast for an hour and 6 minutes, and I'm what are we doing next? I got to go buy a chair. I'm going to go after this. I'm going to get a dresser delivered to my bedroom, and then I'm going to go buy a chair, and then I'm going to set up an office in my garage, and then I'm going to email this guy and thank him for the work that he did for me, and then I'm going to,
Is this on a list somewhere? Or this is just in your head and it's popping up?
No, it's in my calendar.
Okay.
Including the chair and the dresser.
The thank you email? Yeah.
Yep.
And
that is again, that is also how I've harnessed it. Is I'm a list man, and my list is the calendar, and I just bang those things out. And like I said, they're all unrelated.
Yes.
They're completely unrelated things.
Okay, I'm going to do my best to re-engage you for these next 20 minutes.
No. I'm here. Don't worry. I'm just saying, I just noticed
this is
myself.
what's happening. Yeah. No,
my leg is shaking. I'm all right. What are we what's happening now?
Can I ask you about parenthood a bit? So, when did you become a dad?
1 year and 12 days ago.
Oh, was that? You became a father at a very busy time in your work life. Was it something you were expecting?
Yeah.
Okay. And what does fatherhood look like for you? How does it fit into your life?
It's great. I mean, it is my favorite thing in the world. I love being a dad. I love parenting, and it's just a joy. I mean, I approached it in the same way I approached many things, which is let's just see what happens. And so while it was planned, it wasn't properly like, it wasn't like, let's have a baby. It was like, yeah, let's see what happens. And so I never felt like, I mean, I don't want to say I never felt stressed out by the fact that I was about to become a father, but like, it wasn't so stressful. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I'm so scared. I'm so flustered. I'm so nervous. My whole life's going to change. Like, I'm just accepting of the fact that if I want a kid, inevitably my life will change, and it will probably be for the better. So I just tried to not overthink it like I do most things. And that's kind of how that's how I dad. I dad by not overthinking it. And I kind of, if the baby wants to go on a walk, I take her on a walk. If the baby wants to stay home, she stays home. If the baby wants to, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's improvised. I don't read much dad stuff on the internet. I kind of go with my gut on everything. And it's great. I think my life has gotten better, and because of it, I will say that I realize that a lot of men are like, yeah, she made me a better man, or you know, being a parent made me a better man. And I was like, I think you were just a piece of shit. And now you have a kid, and now you have a daughter, and you think that, you know, now that you have a daughter, you're not a piece of shit anymore. But for me, it was like, I don't feel like I've changed, really. I don't feel like I personally have changed. I feel like I have a kid, and I love my kid, and I'm a great dad, but I don't like feel different. I still feel the same enthusiasm for life. I still feel super excited to wake up every day. And maybe, you know, I don't know, it doesn't feel like a burden. It doesn't feel like I've changed for the better or for the worse. I feel like I'm a different person because I'm a dad, and I wasn't a dad before.
Yeah. I want to know, at this moment, I feel like I'm in conversation with you when you are doing a lot. You are maybe your level of exposure and validation is just growing. Like you are, there's a lot. Are you starting to get interested in slowing the pace of output?
Yeah. I'll say yeah. I have definitely been interested in that, but like I have a couple of missions I need to complete before I do that, and they're in my head. And once I do those things, then I will slow the pace.
And are they particular discrete projects, or are they some level of success?
They are related to each project. So like I have a feature film that's coming out. The goal with that one was to get distribution, which we have gotten.
Congrats.
And so that is check, done. Don't need to rush to make another movie because no one's even seen this one yet. The other thing was on Subway Takes. I have a goal to hit 1 million followers on Instagram and TikTok, at least. Hopefully YouTube as well. Once I hit 1 million on there, I will likely scale back the operation because I'm publishing right now pretty much 7 times a week, which is insane.
Oh my gosh.
Literally every single day. But the reason I'm doing that is because I want to hit 1 million. So that will slow down a little bit. I'm not saying I'm going to 0 by any means. I don't even think I'll go to 2 or 3. Probably like end up at 4. And then Keep the Meter Running has its own goal. And yeah, so everything's got its own little goal.
I knew Kareem seemed to be producing a lot of episodes. I did not know it was posting 7 times a week. That level of output reminded me of another song that Kareem sings called Content Machine.
My heart is lonely, infinite scrolling. It's all the same, day after day.
Can you tell me about the song Content Machine?
You know, I started making funny songs, actually, like Michael Barbaro.
I love Michael Barbaro. That's
cool,
that's good.
Yeah. That slaps.
Oh shit, this thing go hard! Michael Barbaro! Michael Barbaro! Michael Barbaro! Michael Barbaro! Michael Barbaro!
And then I had this realization that not everything has to be funny. And so I was like, you know what? Let me try writing some like towing the line songs. So like Really Rich Parents, I would say, is not a funny song. It has some tongue-in-cheek lyrics, a tongue-in-cheek title, but it's not a funny song. It's just a song.
Yeah.
And as I kept releasing music, I kept moving further and further away from funny. And now I'm purely in a sincere sort of, there are still funny lyrics in the songs every once in a while, but none of the songs are like meant to be funny. And the reason that I switched is because I was like, I make so much viral video and content and like feed-based media that I actually want to make something that people can return to time and time again. That's not ephemeral, that doesn't just disappear, that might develop a more kind of long-term audience. And so that's why I started making more kind of serious music. And Content Machine is in the same realm of like, what I was feeling is like, I'm a content machine. This is now my job.
And I don't wanna be this version of me. Wake up alone, I check my phone and press delete. A content machine, I feel unreal. It's never over, it's part of the deal. And if I go back,
that song is literally just like the truth.
That's Kareem Rahma, host of Subway Takes and Keep the Meter Running. You can hear extended conversations from the Subway, including that one with John C. Reilly, on his podcast, Subway Takes Uncut. And his band, again, is Kareem Rahma and Tiny Gun. We'll put links to all this in our show notes. This episode was produced by Cameron Drews. The rest of the Death, Sex, and Money show team includes Andrew Dunn and Zoe Azoulay. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer. Hillary Fry is Slate's editor-in-chief. Please support the production of our show by signing up and becoming a member of Slate Plus. You'll not only be supporting the work of our team, you're also going to get benefits like ad-free listening and these special Slate Plus drops that we make just for you. We make at least 2 a month. You can subscribe directly from the Death, Sex, and Money show page on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or just go to slate.com/DSM Plus to get access wherever you listen. Our theme music is by the Reverend John DeLore and Steve Lewis. If you're new to our show, welcome. We're glad you're here. You can find us and follow us on Instagram at DeathSexMoney. And I write a weekly newsletter. You can sign up for that at annasale.substack.com. And you can reach us anytime with voice memos, pep talks, questions, or critiques at our email address, deathsexmoney@slate.com. We love hearing from you. Towards the end of my conversation with Kareem, when I could tell he was getting a little antsy, I wanted to know if he was really a great conversationalist out in the world or just on Subway Takes and Keep the Meter Running. He told me about a recent vacation he took with his wife, Karina. They went to an all-inclusive resort in Jamaica.
I found myself talking to people in the pool. I was talking to these 3 guys that were completely out of my league. One was a cop. One was a taxidermist. I swam up to them and I was like, watch this trick. I told Karina, I was like, watch this. I was like, I need to go talk to those guys. They're awesome.
I'm Anna Sale, and this is Death, Sex, and Money from Slate.
Today's episode is sponsored by Smart Travel, a new podcast from NerdWallet. I'm Megan Coyle.
And I'm Sally French. We're NerdWallet travel writers who help you turn dream trips into trips you can actually afford.
Because let's be honest, dream trips are usually synonymous with spending money.
But my dream is to not spend much money at all.
That's where Smart Travel comes in. We break down the best ways to stretch your travel dollars, whether it's scoring an upgrade without selling your soul, decoding loyalty programs so you can actually get something out of them, or figuring out if that ultra discount airline ticket is too good to be true.
It usually is.
And while we're at it, we'll show you how to turn canceled flights into lounge dinners and free hotel stays. Spoiler, it involves a lot of patience and a little bit of research. But don't worry, we've already done the heavy lifting. Because being financially savvy doesn't mean you have to skip out on an adventure. It just means you're the genius who paid less for it.
Each week, we bring you travel news, expert insights, and even some of our own travel wins and mishaps, all so you can travel more while paying less. And hey, you'll even have some fun along the way. So if you're ready to make your travel budget work harder and smarter, follow Smart Travel on your favorite podcast app.
First up, smarter travel. See you soon.